Hey, all, Blake here with another video, and today I'm going to show you how to make a DIY cave for your dwarf cichlids or any other cave dwelling species. So let's jump straight into the video. Okay, so to get started, why would you want to make a DIY coconut cave for your aquarium? First of all, it's all natural. In the early stages, it's going to release some tannins and have some blackwater benefits to your aquarium, such as antifungal, antimicrobial, and overall, it just creates a very natural look. It's fairly cheap and readily accessible. Each of these coconuts here I found at my local supermarket for $3.50 each. So we're going to cut them in half, so we'll get approximately 4 caves for $7. So that's pretty economical. And overall, it's kind of an easy, fun project to do that will, take up a bit of a weekend, and most people should have everything that's required already at home. Now, what is required? First of all, we'll have a container here to drain our coconut water into. We're going to need a strong, sharp knife here to take the flesh out of the coconut. I like to use some electrical tape here just to make sure that we're cutting in a straight line. You could also use possibly a Sharpie, masking tape, whatever you like, or maybe you've just got a good enough eye that you don't need to mark it out at all. Then we have a multi-tool. You could also use a Dremel, any sort of cutting tool, and I've even done it before with a handsaw, but I just find these multi-tools are a bit more precise and easier to use. Then last of all, you're going to need a drill and a spade bit. You could also use a hole saw, but I find spade bits a lot easier to use in this instance. I've got a 20mm spade bit there because I want to create a 20mm hole. I just find that to be a good diameter of hole for many apistogrammas, blue rams, and that sort of thing. So now that that's over with, let's get straight in and start making our coconut hut. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and drain the water out of here. You can probably hear on my lapel mic there that there is coconut water inside this coconut. It's going to make a big mess when it comes time to cutting it up. So I'm going to go ahead and make my entry holes for these caves and use that to drain the coconut water out. Now I'm going to drill them about at sort of a 45-degree angle from the middle of the coconut, because I know some people like to have the entrance flush with the bottom of the aquarium. I just like to have it up a little bit higher, so it's personal preference, and you could choose to do it wherever you like. Okay, so now you can see, we've got our hole in our coconut here. We'll drain the water all the way out, and that's how much coconut water and mess that we've ended up with there. So now it's just a matter of cutting this coconut in half. If you find it easier at this point, you can also drill the second hole, but I find that a lot easier once it's cut in half. Then I have a stable foundation to lay it down on, but you can do it either way. So now I'll just take my black electrical tape here, and I'm going to just get enough of it to place all the way around the outside. And I'm just going to stick it down on the table till I find a good midpoint of the coconut, roll it up from each side, and that should give us a fairly nice straight line for us to be able to use our multi-tool and cut this into 2 halves. So you can sort of get a good idea now of what the top half is going to look like. So I'm just going to take my multi-tool, be very careful, and cut all the way along this electrical tape here. Okay, so now we've got 2 nice clean pieces here of coconut, but obviously it's full of flesh and that's no good for us. So a lot of people recommend sitting it in boiling water, then allowing it to cool down. Other than that, you can just take your sharp knife and sort of pry around and scoop it out. Other than that, there's no real easy way to get it out. It's kind of just a pain, and you just got to sort of scoot around the edges, prying it up. The good thing is that when you do go through and pry it all up, you will be left with a nice, neat shell underneath, if you can see that right there. So I'm going to go ahead now and go all the way around and pry out all of this flesh. Okay, so you can probably tell just from the light, I just really sat here for about 20 minutes just with the knife. I just sort of went down and twist, and pieces of the flesh break off at a time. Now in the process, these sort of knuckly bits at the end, they are pretty soft, so I ended up breaking out part of this one here, which I just got my spade bit once again, just sort of spun it around in there, and we made the opening to this second half at the top. So that's how easy it is. We've now got 2 coconut caves ready to go in our aquariums. Some people like to get some sandpaper and take off these little hairy bits. I personally don't really mind them. I think it looks more natural, so I like to just leave them back on. So what I would recommend doing now is, just because you don't know what sort of chemicals or anything that these have been exposed to, I'd give them a good rinse or maybe even a boil in water before putting them in your tank, making sure that you allow them to cool back down to room temperature before you do so, because if you put a hot coconut shell in your aquarium, it might raise the temperature and you might have some poor effects on your fish. So there you go, guys. That's as simple as it is to make your very own DIY apistogramma or dwarf cichlid caves. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, it always helps me out to smash like, hit subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.